Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Kids Inc. podcast. I am your host, Susan Yeager, and this is episode 4. In this episode, we finish up our conversation with writer, director, producer Tom Lynch. And I was going to tease you guys with some of the stuff we talked about in the last part of this conversation, but you know what? Why don't we just tune in and listen?
Was it a conscious decision to use the dancers as the guest stars? Andrea has been very supportive of this podcast. And
how is she?
I haven't talked to her yet. I hope to talk to her. But
well, you send her my love.
This is one of the funniest things. There are only 7 cast members I have never met in person, and she is one of them.
Really?
And so, yes.
Wow.
So the fact that she's so supportive, it's wonderful. But yeah, that was a great thing. And the Magic Toy Shop, Joseph was a featured role in that, So was that important to you to feature the dancers?
Yes. And it became more important with time. There's 2 reasons for it. One was creative, that, as I said, we owed a lot to Broadway. Mm-hmm. So 42nd Street, when I was working for Don Kirshner, I'm from LA, I'd never seen a Broadway musical. And he would get tickets because famous people get tickets to things, and he wouldn't want to go and I would go. So I went and saw everything. And then I learned this weird trick that if you go to a Broadway show at intermission, you can just walk right in. So I saw the back half of every Broadway show ever done. I saw Nicholas Nickleby, which was like 9 hours or whatever. I saw the second half of everything. So 42nd Street had this really pure song story. And it's the first time I recognized that story advanced song, song advanced story.
Right.
And it led me to believe that every pop song could fit any emotional moment. And that's, I've done my whole life. That stayed with me. Mm-hmm. So what was the question?
About featuring the dancers.
Oh, so the dancers.
Yes.
So in those, we had a choreographer. Our first choreographer is a woman named Doreen Grussman in the first 3 or 4 seasons. And she was a Balanchine dancer. She was very, very, she was the real deal. She was the real deal. And so she took these kids, and it was like boot camp, man. She made them work. They worked harder than any of us. And whenever I needed to fill scenes, I didn't have more money to get more extras. So, hey, we have these 5 people, let's walk them through. And Mario Lopez was one of the originals. That you cut to Mario in a close-up, it's the same. He's the cutest person in the world, right? And there's nobody having more fun in life than Mario Lopez. He was always just having a great time and happy and beautiful family, and really, really proud of him. I know proud is the right word. Really just happy for the man he's grown into, really thrilled with it. So, so they, as we went on, they were working so hard, and they were, there might have been a rift between the principals and the dancers. There was always a little bit of a boom, boom, a little something there.
Okay.
And so I started putting them in lead roles, into speaking roles, because they worked so hard. It was easy for me to do. I didn't have to go hire someone else. You'd pay them a little extra to do a speaking part, but they were still getting paid. And it just all kind of worked in the world. It worked in the reality of it all.
That was great. Is the music and the rights to the music one of the reasons, unfortunately, this show will probably never make it to Disney Plus? Or
I would think so. I think the music rights back then were limited for the show. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they could redo it, but I don't think anybody wants to dig down and do that. There is always talk about redoing the show, doing a new version of it, which we are in talks right now about doing. And, that's come up over the years all the time. And I dragged my foot the first 20 years, 25 years, because I was still in, my career. I was always busy. I was always doing something new, and I didn't want to look back. I wasn't comfortable enough looking back on anything. We sold it one time to the Hub. When the Hub started, because I knew Margaret Lesh was there, they were going to buy it, or Steve Davis was going to buy it. And then MGM had a problem with the deal or whatever. And it's just like, forget it. Because a bunch of people got to agree to make it happen. Right. And now MGM is excited about it, and we're in discussions and starting to talk about what that would be. And if it happens, there'll be nobody happier than me. I'm comfortable enough in my life that, let's get a new voice in there. Let's get a young woman to run that show. Let's get a young Latina person to do it, or young African-American. Let's get a different set of stories to come into that, and I think that would be really cool to do. I think it'd be really cool to do. So we'll see.
Were there ever any stories you wanted to tell through this medium that you didn't get to tell yet?
Yes. The story of divorce.
Oh, yeah.
Divorce. I think we touched on it. We touched on an abusive kid. A kid was abused, and we had I think they came close to firing me for that, because I think I literally sent them a script that they would like, and then I shot one that I would like, and I figured, okay, we'll see what happens.
No.
That was, there was a day at the end of season 2. What season did you come work for us?
Not till the end. No,
Okay.
I started showing up on the set on the 4th season, but I didn't start being there every day until the 9th. Yeah.
Okay. So at the end of season 2, MGM, it's syndicated. The executive at MGM walks into the booth. I'm in the booth and we're shooting the show, and goes, "Damn it, Tommy. We are going to sue you. We are going to ruin you." I'm now 28 and a half. Okay. I'm like, whoa, shit, what I do? He goes, "We just found out that you do the notes." I'd send the script like you saw, and they'd send notes, and I'd change them, and they'd go out. "But you were shooting your version." I go, "Yeah, they were better."
Yeah.
They were going to kill me, man. That was, I would not do that or advise that for anybody to do today. That was reckless abandonment. And I didn't do it. I just want to be clear. I wasn't difficult. I thought I was joyful to work with, but if it wasn't good, why do it?
Right.
And I mean, I made plenty of mistakes, and there's plenty of areas in the show. If I saw them, I go, ooh, I was just trying my best and to do the best. And sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. And I think that's probably a motto I still live with today. Make sure you do the best you can, and it'll work out.
And the people who were giving the notes, their name's nowhere near it. So you have to put out something with your name on it, and and stand by it.
There was that. I learned a great lesson that everybody will tell you when you create something, everybody will tell you what's wrong with it. So few people tell you what's right with it until it's successful.
Right.
And that's something where, as a producer, one of the things you have to do is you have to protect the integrity of the idea, whatever that idea is, whether I produce for someone else, which I do rarely, but have done and have enjoyed the experience, or produce your own work. You have to protect that idea, because nobody else is everybody else has an agenda, and they're valid agendas. I want the budget lower. It's got a feature. We're selling, we need more girls in it. We need more boys in it. We need more of this. And they're all legitimate concerns, but there's really only one person that has a vision. And that vision has to be, many people help make that, but somebody woke up one day and said, "Oh, I'm going to tell a story through music. Okay, with these kids. That's what I'm going to do." And you gotta protect
one
that.
of the things that always stays with me is the song from When Movies Were Movies. A hero's just a fool till he succeeds.
Love it.
Yes. And that always stays with me, because you could be working and working and working that no one sees the value in, until it's successful. And then everybody wants in on it. But you've been the one plugging away for trying to make it work.
With all the detail. There's also, though, what I learned is I have to also become more open-minded, because sometimes I can be so locked that, wait a minute, there's something cool here. And in the cycle of my career, it went from, oh my God, I hope this doesn't fail, to, okay, I'm pretty good at this. Let me make sure that everything is done the way I want it to be done. It'll be great. To now it's like, leave time open for inspiration. Leave time open for that kind of alchemy that comes when you put Martika and Jerry Sherrill on a stage. You can't write that. That just worked. When you see this little kid, the kid Rasan, show up, and he gets next to Stacy, and those two are belting out to each other, and they're challenging each other.
Aretha Franklin,
exactly. You just let that happen. So I think in the journey of a creator, of an artist, the real joy becomes when you're comfortable enough in failing that you're open enough for magic to happen, for something different to happen.
Just a couple more questions. Did you ever think 35, 36 years ago that people would still be talking about this show 40 years later?
No, never in my wildest dreams. As I told you, bankruptcies, people wanting to fire me, network changes, new presidents every step of the way. It was a minefield. But I've also learned that every show is a minefield. There's always, you're just worried about getting canceled. I don't know anybody who's not worried about getting, I've never had that experience of not going, great, and make it pop. Make it pop was huge. And then year 2, it was a little less huge, but since it was a little less, they stopped it. I'm like, okay. And it then goes to Hulu and became the #1 kid show on Hulu. So you just got to do the best you can, because who knows what's going to happen? Who friggin' knows? What I am grateful for is that I did work that resonates with people, that touch people. That's what I'm really grateful for, that I was able to, and a lot of it was luck. I get a lot of accolades, but a lot of it was just lucky. There I was in 1973, not thinking I could go to college, and worked for a man who did music by total accident, right? Total accident that happened. Wow. When I left that job, I got married. I left that job from making $75,000 a year. A young married man at that time was a ton of money, and decided I'm going to go make my own show. The first show I financed with my own money, Smokey Robinson hosted, Janet Jackson, Kim Carnes, Kool and the Gang, which was all there. And I wanted to do kind of the black urban, whatever you called it, cooler, solid gold. Total disaster. Total, lost all my money. I'm a married guy, broke. I'm married. I'm broke. I got a baby on the way. And then this little thing comes up. Would you do this show? And I'm like, well, not that way, but I would do this to it. And it becomes Kids Incorporated.
That's amazing.
In the middle of Kids Incorporated, I knew about music videos, and I liked music. I was directing more music videos. In the off time, I'd go direct music videos. Oh, I started my own music show, Night Tracks. I had my own music. Everything, as I tell my own children and younger people, the job you have now is not the job, your full-time job. It's the next one, and you don't know where it's going to take you. As you know, I am a man of faith, and I believe if you show up, it's going to be okay. It's not going to be nothing ever happened that I planned, but man, such great stuff happened on the way to my plans.
Right. Do you have any messages we could pass on to the fans who've stuck with you?
God, do I love you. You guys, through the people loving this show, I was able to have a life. I was able to raise 4 children. I was able to get a career. I mean, selfishly, I was given so much by that show. That let me become a writer, producer, showrunner, studio. I ran my own company, had my own studio. It just opened it all up. It just opened up. It showed me that it just, when you asked earlier about the fans, when it hit me, I had been wondering about fan mail. Why weren't we getting fan mail? Nobody knew. Nobody was coming to the office. And this showed up. It was like the movie Elf with Santa. These big bags showed up a year later. Like they'd been going to MGM and somebody had them in the back. And that's when I went, oh my God.
That's funny.
I think to the fans, I just say thank you. I'm just so grateful that the show touched you. I'm grateful you remember it. Just gratitude, absolute gratitude.
And there you go, guys. That is the first conversation with Tom Lynch. I hope it is the first of many. I want to send a big shout out to Tom for talking with us and giving us all kinds of inside scoop on Kids Incorporated. I also want to take a minute to thank, it's either kidsincorporated.us or sometimes it's kidsinc.us. Depends on where you search for it. And I believe on YouTube, it's just Kids Incorporated. And I want to thank them for all of their support. They help me with the intros and all kinds of things. And I want you guys to check them out on YouTube too. All of our social medias are coming up. And again, if you guys have any questions, feedback, anything, just find us on social media. I can't thank you guys enough. We've got some great things coming up. I can't wait. So in the meantime, be good to others, be good to yourself, and may the joy, excitement, hope, and magic that was Kids Incorporated find a way into your life every day. See you next time. Don't forget to visit us on social media, facebook.com/Kids Inc. Podcast, twitter.com/Kids Inc. Podcast, and instagram.com/Kids Inc. Podcast. If you have any questions for Tom Lynch or any of the cast that we might be talking with sometime soon, email us at kidsincpodcast@gmail.com.
Everybody look around, hear the sound, something special's gonna come your way. We got something that is new.